Were we told the full truth about Caitlin Clark's injury? The Fever kept saying she was day-to-day and close to returning, but the reality was a series of setbacks that shut down her entire 2025 season. Today, we're breaking down how a quad strain turned into a groin issue, then an ankle bone bruise, and why the optimism pushed in press conferences didn't match the reality fans saw on the court. Was it cautious management or misleading messaging? Before we move on,
it was announced that Caitlin Clark would not be returning this season. Something that I think most of us pretty much knew, because they purposely kept dangling a carrot in front of people because they wanted them to stay engaged with the games.
I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great. Thank you so much. Now back to the video. How does a tight quad in May end up as a season-ending ankle issue by August? That's the part that doesn't add up.
Agreement that would have happened between the Fever organization and I assume Kathy Engelbert and the WNBA. That's why the Indiana Fever has gotten dogged out as an organization.
Fans kept hearing updates that made it sound like Caitlin Clark was right around the corner from returning. Things like she's close or it's only day-to-day gave the impression she'd be back on the court within a week or two. But while the official updates leaned toward optimism, the reality behind the scenes painted a very different picture. And that gap between what was being told and what was actually happening is where everything spiraled.
The way you dangled her comeback, you dangled her return. At least the last couple of weeks, I heavily suspected it. For the last, if I'm being real, last month.
Let's rewind back to May. At that point, Clark was playing heavy minutes, carrying the load for Indiana, and becoming one of the faces of the league, plastered everywhere. On May 24th, she tweaked her quad. It didn't look like a nightmare injury. Not the kind where a player instantly clutches their leg and limps off dramatically.
We don't want to mess these ratings up now. We don't want to mess those ratings up now, do we? Although I kept kind of holding out hope because, well, I wanted a reason to keep watching these games.
Instead, it seemed minor, and the team reassured everyone almost right away. The words floating around were things like no cause for concern. Fans expected her to miss maybe one game, maybe two, and then slot right back in. But here's what raised suspicion. She wasn't practicing at full speed. She wasn't testing her leg against contact. Yet the public statements kept making it seem like her return was just a matter of hours. That mismatch became the start of confusion. June rolled around, and that quad problem somehow led straight into another issue.
You cannot help some of the injuries, I get, but seriously, your front office handling of stuff and recruiting, yeah, it's bad. Amber, you guys really need to take a hard look internally because this season had so much promise and then became an embarrassment. You were way over your head on this. Lies, lies, and more lies. It always was a money grab. No more Stephanie White double talk.
This time it was a groin strain. Again, officials described it in soft tones, almost brushing it off as another short setback. Media headlines repeated the same return story, talking about load management and how she wouldn't be rushed. But fans felt something was off. She wasn't being cleared for scrimmages. She was sidelined for longer stretches, and she was missing key matchups. If you were watching practice updates closely, it was obvious she was being held out of anything high intensity.
The super team scenario implode in sports nearly every time. Let's make it look like she's going to come back. So I knew there was going to be a lot of reaction today and last night, overnight. If you remember that, I said, look, not everybody get behind this quote-unquote super team.
So while the coverage made the situation sound fine, the small clues pointed to an underlying problem stacking up beneath the surface. By July, it reached an even more alarming level. It was a regular game against a rival, and Clark was playing late into the fourth quarter. The score was already settled, and then it happened. In the final minute, She grabbed at her right side, near the groin after an awkward step. She finished the play, but the visual hit hard. She didn't look explosive anymore, and fans immediately noticed. Suddenly, every word of optimism from the weeks before felt hollow. If she had been as close to ready as they said, why did she look so vulnerable? That single moment made people question whether she had really been healthy at all over the past few months. Then came August, the breaking point. While she was rehabbing and working her way back, news broke about a left ankle bone bruise. That's when everything collapsed. A quad strain might be manageable. A groin strain can linger, but still heal with proper rest. But now the other side of her body was breaking down just from trying to recover.
This is Indiana. For the love of God, you buffered her rise to protect the envious while pretending to love her. Do you really think people can't see what you've done here? Clicky crabs in a bucket and gaslighting. Ideological saboteur.
The idea of stacked injuries became undeniable. She wasn't just unlucky, she was caught in a cycle where resting one problem created another. Fans who had been holding on to hope finally realized it wasn't about her being day-to-day. Her season was done before the official announcement even landed. What's striking is how this wasn't portrayed as a chain reaction. Each injury was framed as isolated, an unrelated hiccup. But when you line them up, quad, groin again, ankle, you can see the progression clearly.
The entire league doesn't like her, and they reluctantly don't want to grow with her. The way things have been constructed, it's been to prevent Caitlin Clark from taking the next step of launching this league. They all have the same, quote, agendas as these players.
Instead of honest timelines, fans were fed soft language that hid how serious things were becoming. That's why the frustration went beyond losing a star player. The trust between what fans were told and what they saw completely cracked. And that's where the conversation shifts. Was the team genuinely trying to manage her carefully to protect her long-term future? Or was the league, knowing Clark is its biggest star, pushing a message that kept tickets selling, TV ratings high, and attention locked onto the idea of her imminent return? Clark missing the entire 2025 season isn't just about bad injuries. It exposes how the league balances player health with business interests.
You effing lied to fans since before the All-Star break just to keep people hanging on to hope that Caitlin would be back. Please next time do not bring a vet to Indiana who's a scammer and a quitter, knowing full well she was done for the year. You and the entire front office are effing embarrassments. Resign.
When updates feel sugar-coated, fans lose confidence, and that hurts everyone. Imagine being told day-to-day for months while the star of the league disappears from games. Do you think the WNBA should change how it reports injuries, especially for its biggest names? Clark's 2026 return now carries massive weight. It could be the comeback fans dream of, or a reminder that rushing a star too soon for ratings always comes with a costly price.